So Lexie Hull has talked a little bit about the situation that happened on the bench. And again, I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. I don't know if Lexie's being sent out here for damage control, but I don't feel like anyone this should be spoken about. And I feel like the Indiana Fever letting this become a story is on them. It's on them. I feel like Erin Kane letting this become a story is on her. Because you better believe if she was a Clutch Sport client, Clutch Sports would have their, they would have pulled up with the black vans. They would have pulled up in their black vans to make sure nothing could happen. And Nick Wright would be out there defending Caitlin Clark. But yeah, anyway, obviously I'm just joking there. But Lexie's talking about it right here. And let's take a listen.
Everybody had something to say over the weekend because of the huddle with Caitlin, Stephanie White. We've got Twitter just going out. Everybody's losing their mind. You were there. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just there's frustration. I think we noticed they were trying to pick on Caitlin a little bit on defense and
This is not a typical Fever rotation. Stephanie White be so upset about the pull Caitlin out of the game. We need lip readers. No, it's clearly Caitlin, stop fouling. Caitlin, I'm putting my hands up. I think everybody knows when that happened. Caitlin just picked up her fourth foul, and she's going to pull her from the game. And she's basically giving out about Caitlin fouling, and Caitlin's like, I have my hands up, I have my hands up. And then Stephanie White is just having none of it, and Caitlin Clark's pissed off because she knows she didn't foul, and she's clapping back at her coach. It's two people pissed off, going at each other. We all know that in the grand scheme of things, Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White, there is nothing personal between the two of them. We all kind of know that. I think anyone who doesn't is like, you can question the basketball fit all you want, but I think everyone knows there's nothing personally at either side as against each other. But that being said, Lexie Hull described what any reasonable person should have seen. Problem is, it's happened twice. This is where the issue is this happened twice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just there's frustration. I think we noticed they were trying to pick on Caitlin a little bit on defensive end. She was getting called for some fouls that, fouls aren't fun. She got in some foul trouble. Our team got into some foul trouble, and that's just all it was. I think that's part of the game. There's frustrations that rise, and decisions have to be made. And ultimately, this wasn't something that carried on. This is in the moment, something that happened, and not something that is talked about now in our locker room, talked about even later on in the game. That's just something that happened. And unfortunately, Caitlin's got a camera on her 24/7. And so you see every little thing, but this happens almost every day in women's basketball. So not something that we're worried about at all.
And I think Lexie Hull's on the money. I never understood with the narrative. I think that, first of all, I don't think this is a good look for either or. I think it's a great look at Stephanie White. It's not a great look for Stephanie White. It's a worse look for Caitlin Clark. And anyone trying to say Caitlin Clark's in the right here, you're not. Even if you're in the right with what you're arguing, you're never in the right losing your shit out of your coach. It does not publicly anyway. Not publicly. That being said, Lexie being like, you know what, we don't talk about that in practice. We're not worried about that. And they weren't worried about it later in the game. And I'm like, I actually think that in general, Lexie's, yeah, that absolutely is something that doesn't affect anything really. It doesn't affect anything. The issue with the whole Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White situation a couple of days ago, for me was, or not even for me, the issue isn't the Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark got into it. Because that happens. That's life. The issue with the whole situation is the circus. You're not trading, the Indiana Fever are not going to trade Caitlin Clark because she got into an argument with her coach. The Indiana Fever are not going to fire Stephanie White because she got into an argument with Caitlin Clark. They're not. And anyone who thinks either of those things are going to happen is wrong. The Indiana Fever, are realistically will only trade Caitlin Clark or fire Stephanie White if they feel like it's better for their organization. And I've always said this, where it's like, if you won't get rid of any of a star player unless you feel that she is not worth the hassle. And I've said it plenty of times where I'm like, I feel like this situation, even Lexie Hull trying to calm things down, the fact that this has to be talked about, the fact that this has to be finally a sane take, and I think Lexie Hull, anyone who thought the situation was anything otherwise is crazy on both extremes. Whether you're the friend of the former of Lynn Dunn, who still works for the Fever, calling Caitlin Clark a complete what was a complete pain in the ass diva. You know, Lynn Dunn could have put a stop to that, and she was like, nah, we're just going to leave that narrative out there. Why are y'all asking Lexie and not Caitlin Clark and Steph? Yeah, Caitlin Clark is probably going to be in hiding for the time being, but you better believe that the issue is that the next game, the Fever are playing the Atlanta Dream, and every single question is going to be about this interaction. Just like every question before the last game was, or before the Valkyries game was about the interaction between Tiffany Hayes and Caitlin Clark. We all know that. This is the first time where I feel like we've seen everything with the whole ballsack sports type Skip thing where Skip Bayless got tricked, and the organization immediately, front office sports are like, organization confirms. Like, they immediately called everyone in the media and were like, no, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. Like, they had to, this is the first time the Fever have done that. Have they done it? Did they do it when Skip Bayless was on TV talking about Caitlin Clark? No. And Lexie Hull's in the money. She is on the money. There's not one word wrong with what Lexie Hull said. There is not one word wrong with it. The problem is, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, there's hysteria on all sides. On all sides. And it's like, people, when I'm talking about Caitlin Clark being traded, people are like, oh, the Fever hate Caitlin Clark. I don't think there's ever going to be any reason why the Fever hate Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White could absolutely be on the best terms. The problem is, the reason you're losing games, as Nate Tibbetts said when they cut Kiana Williams, Nate Tibbetts was basically like being asked about it, and he was like, oh, you cut her, and it's like, well, when you're losing, something changes. And that's what the issue is like, when you're losing, attendances are down, and every single day there's a circus around the organization. It's why the Chicago Sky traded Angel Reese. Do I think Angel Reese is in a wrong in a lot of situations? Yeah. I don't think Angel Reese went about those after that. I think it went from the Sky being completely in the wrong for the half game suspension to Angel Reese's reaction being wrong. And it was very clear from that moment on. It was very clear from that moment on that like, Angel Reese was done with Sky. But like, even when it comes to Caitlin Clark, in that same timeout, by the way, after being subbed off, is it the same timeout? No. But in a timeout after being subbed off, Caitlin Clark is still trying to, high five her team. She's still trying to be a positive teammate. And I think there's not one person. And like, she had to go out of her way to high five Kelsey, but we're not looking into that too much. There's not one person on the Indiana Fever that, I guarantee you, there's not one person on the Fever that believes Caitlin Clark wants to lose, or doesn't want to win. And that includes Stephanie White, and I don't think there's a single person that believes Stephanie White doesn't want to win. Like, you can make the stylistic argument when it goes into a personal thing that it becomes more than that. Then that's where it gets kind of crazy. But we have role players coming in and going out of their way, trying to make it so that players, or to try to shut down or throw fire or water on the flame. The problem is that's not the issue, and you can stop this right now, but to Caitlin's fault, she's done it twice now. The blueprint for against the Indiana Fever is going to be where we are going to walk into switches and we're going to go head down on Caitlin Clark. And unfortunately, unless Steph White's willing to adapt, and she hasn't adapted in any way on either end of the floor, unless she's willing to adapt, we're going to see Caitlin Clark get attacked every single game, be in foul trouble every single game, because she does defend with her hands. So it becomes a really difficult situation. And then what happens, again, if Caitlin gets called for bullshit, or if Caitlin does something good on defense, like with Brie January, where she refused a screen and Ty Harris just was like, refused to do what she was meant to do on defense, and they picked on Caitlin. Caitlin's not the greatest person at controlling her emotions. It's going to happen again. And the thing is that the second, the third, the fourth time this happens, and when you add in the media shit show that's being done around this, it becomes a case where it's like from all parties. Like if you are a coach and you know that Caitlin is going to snap back at you and it's going to cause a national fucking media outrage, you don't snap at Caitlin. Even if she does something wrong, you can sit her out, calm her down. You can sub her out of a game. You don't snap at her like Stephanie White does. If you're Caitlin, you got to do better and not snap. Because I think everyone who's like reasonable knows that this is just two people that are heated with each other getting into it. The problem is again, as Lexie said, the microscope. And I feel like that microscope isn't getting smaller. And there's going to be every single action that is that Caitlin Clark or Stephanie White makes, or what they say, is going to be like, people want to pin this on this entire thing is only the fault of people that are on one extreme of like, we all hate Stephanie White, and like the far extreme on one end, the Venoms of the world, who at the end of the Fever, during the Fever Fire game, like, man, I might be joining her side, man. But like the Venoms of the world, or you go the opposite way, and there's the people that are all anti Caitlin Clark and are using this as an excuse so they can go at her. Look, you're now in a situation where any move that Caitlin Clark makes or Stephanie White makes is going to be under the microscope. And while, yes, people are want to say, oh, it's the quote unquote fans that are the problem because Caitlin can't be coached, and it's like, it works the opposite way as well. Like, if you don't believe that this clip was being shared by a Caitlin Clark hate page, a Caitlin Clark hate page found the clip and made it go viral. So to be fair, it is one of those things where when it's all said and done, you can have Lexie Hull say clearly what it was. Everybody knows it's nothing. That knows it. Anyone that knows better knows it's nothing. The big problem is that there are enough people that don't know it, that don't know better on both sides, that will make this decision 100 times worse. 100 times worse than it is. And that is the issue. That is the issue. The issue isn't Stephanie White in this scenario. The issue of why you have to either fire Stephanie White or Caitlin Clark is not on either of them. It's the fact that clearly as a coach, even just how they see the game, how Steph White coaches, I've no doubt about it. Steph White's even said herself Caitlin wants to be coached. But the way Steph White coaches and the way Steph White is coaching Caitlin is doing nothing other than, and the way Caitlin plays is doing nothing other than causing a national outrage every single time the Fever loses a game. And yeah, it's not ideal. Even though, yes, I stand by this. Lexie's absolutely correct in what she says. This, as an isolated incident, is nothing. The relationship is still good between them, and as far as I'm aware, behind the scenes with this team, there's no issues at all. The problem is, this is now slowly getting bigger. When you have, because we're now at the stage where people are bored. People are bored of Caitlin Clark, the basketball player, and they're just looking to bring back 2024 narratives. And I'm going to be real here. Stephanie White probably does need to be, like, Fever probably do need to fire Stephanie White, but it doesn't have anything to do, let's be real, it doesn't have anything to do with Stephanie White sabotaging Caitlin. It's a fit issue. Or what they're more than likely going to do is trade Caitlin, which is a better idea for the Fever.